This world sucks. Sometimes it's just painful, it's terrible, and there's just so many awful things that happen. And then, as soon as you get over it, and then you go over all of these different things, you grow up, and then you have to work on responsibility things. Now, I am from the 90s. I wasn't born in the 90s, but I loved the 90s, and I loved 90s PC gaming. If you were to ask me if I was living through that, I'd probably say let's do a PC master race. Have it take over than all of these consoles. But I'm really kind of infuriated with all the microtransactions, the free to play games, with all the extra cash you end up spending. I want physical media, and I love physical media. And so I decided to put all my frustrations and also all my time in review, because it's very little with the whole responsibility thing, in the next few hours as much as I can for each game. I have a slew of box games, not as many as some others out there, but enough that I want to actually play them. And you know what? I'm going to play it, and we're going to play it through this series. This series is going to be called Will It Install? And we're going to try to see if we can play these older games on modern hardware. And if I can't, I'm going to find a way, because I want to play my older games. And I have the time to do it. So we're going to do it. And we're starting with kind of this very old Microsoft home game, Fury 3. So let's look at the box. Let's see what comes in it. And let's play it and see how either wonderful or crappy or garbage filled this is. I think this one's going to be good. But you never know. Like I mentioned, this is the Microsoft Home Microsoft Fury 3. I mean, it's not really Fury 3. I just call it Fury. Everybody calls it Fury 3 because of the 3. But really, it's kind of Microsoft Fury 3 squared. And I had to put a little bit of this tape because it wasn't sticking to it. But look at this. Doesn't this scream 90s? Explosions everywhere, all animated and cartoon-like, with just a single target in the middle of just absolute chaos with armies and everything, with the Microsoft special value from KB Toys that started at $15 down to $9.99, and there was even another one. So this probably transferred hands a few times. But look at this thing. It just screams it. We got cockpit views, we got explosions, we've got things going around, and then you could take advantage with the Sidewinder 3D Pro. Why don't we try to see if we can get this thing to work on the other Sidewinder I have? So, but let's open this up real quick. So it looks like people open this from the bottom. This is old. This is old for it being a 95. So this is not the worst, but also definitely not the best. Paperwork here, we don't care much. All right, well, we're not here for that stuff. Let's take a look at this. Oh my God, they were right. It's actually still sealed. This thing looks awesome. I love this style of game. This is just badass. So we're gonna pop this baby open and see if we can get it in here, because hopefully it works fine. And I know some of you out there are probably big collectors, probably like, you're destroying history. But guess what? I'm gonna play Fury 3, and I'm gonna play it well. All right, let's see if we can get this Fury 3 actually installed. So I was able to copy the files down from the disk, and the nice thing is the disk was actually readily available with my CD drive. Man, I wish we had CD drives built in. Let's try to run this as an administrator. See if it actually works. Incompatibility with 64-bit and insufficient memory. All right, let's try this. Compatibility mode. Seems if you just do Fury 3, then it actually will work. Game options, videos, demos. We're gonna pick dog meat. You know, that's a sewer shark reference in case you were wondering. That's totally a TIE fighter sound effect. 2832, when the Coalition ordered Bion dissentment. So the game for Fury 3 is actually developed by Terminal Reality. Surprisingly enough, it's not actually mentioned anywhere that they developed this. It's only shown in the intro screen that you saw here, as well as one part of the instructions. Believe it or not, Microsoft and Microsoft Home is all over the place indicated for this. The story is that a while ago there was a big war, and the war was actually won by the Terrans, or humans, that created genetically engineered race of super soldiers known as the Biones. And basically their aggression and power, you know, they were just kind of intending them to take over and stop the war and then follow what the humans basically tell them to. But unfortunately, after the war ended, the Biones then decided to just, start taking over. And because of that, the Council of Peace, at least that's what they're calling this, is created in order to actually wipe out the rest of the Biones. And the history of this is interesting because they basically intended to destroy everything that they just created as a genetically modified soldiers. And the headquarters for that is on Fury, hence the name of the game, which is a planet. And essentially they're just, the headquarters to that place is for the Biones. And the intent of the game is you are just an unknown pilot that is part of the Council of Peace, even though you're really just out to destroy and kill every single Bione. There is nothing about you. There's nothing about you being a genetically engineered person. So you're just some guy. You're just some dude that has a fancy little ship, and they don't even talk about the ship that much, even though the ship is pretty good. And it's that the whole point of this game is not really to focus on the story itself, but really just to focus on you destroying everything in the worlds that you go to, causing destruction and mayhem on all of these things. So yeah, and this is all supposed to happen by 2839. So, yeah, you're a pilot concealer controlled by yourself and just a schmo dude. So the game itself and the gameplay is actually pretty easy. You just move around with the arrow keys using A and Z. And it's a very smooth experience. However, because of the way the distortion of how wide this is a very tiny resolution game, it does get a little off-putting as far as orientation and kind of how you feel as you move around. You can also barrel roll using home and page up, which is what is very traditional, as well as capabilities and support with the joystick. This is a very hard game though, as the Biones end up just multiplying as immediately as the game starts. If you wait at all during the mission, eventually the Biones is going to take over and kill you immensely. Some of the actual pet peeves are when you hit something, it just bounces you back, completely disorienting you. If You are able to go into tunnels, which is also some secret areas to go into. It becomes very disorienting and very difficult to progress through as you hit the walls and stuff, it bounces you back. There are power-ups available and a multitude of weapons, which is interesting because the weapons you get when you obtain them after you actually use their ammo, you can still use them, but they're at a very low pace. The enemy is not very smart. Most of the time they will fight you, shoot you, and then sometimes they will hurt themselves or each other accidentally, as you can see in some of the footage here. The bosses is what makes everything very difficult. The UI, you have to have the cockpit view in order for it to work really well, as it tells you what the objective is at the top and the distance. And believe it or not, the front actually shows of the cockpit actually shows you the direction you need to go in order to proceed and finish your mission. There are a lot of buildings you have to destroy, which happens to be the majority of the mission, and then once you finish destroying those buildings, you will then go to a fly warp. I have only been able to actually obtain and complete 3 missions total, but I haven't been able to actually progress to another planet, which I will continue to do. And there's apparently 3 missions, about 4 planets, so you're looking at 12 missions, so it shouldn't take very long. But man, the enemy progression is irritating as they do overwhelm you eventually. And also fighting a Guardian is also very, very difficult, as it seems the first Guardian has a lot of power outlets I was destroying, and then started to actually proceed to destroy the Guardian with such a small space. It is absolutely very difficult to actually kill the crazy old ancient Guardian of evil that does not die over and over again. But this is a very good game. It's very challenging. But we just played Fury 3 with all the critiques and funs and awfulness that came with it. But yeah, this is Will It Install, the first episode. Tune in next time as we try the more or less road trips of the Hooter variety in the next Will It Install.